What's happening, dogs? Mr. Allen here, about to evaluate some logarithms without the use of a calculator in this video. So if you got a logs test coming up, there's bound to be a non-calc portion, and these guys are going to be on it. So let's get after it with the first one. Log base 2 of 16 equals what? Well, first off, what is a log? Well, a log can help us find an exponent, meaning the way that we should read this is 2 to what power gives me 16. And if it helps, you may want to rewrite it in exponential form. I'm going to throw an x right here. That'll be like our unknown variable. And I like to do this thing called loop and swoop. So I do 2 to what power equals 16, meaning I'll have 2 to the x equals 16. So any idea here? Well, let's see here. Let's count our fingers. 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16. So this one's going to be 4 for our final answer there. 2 to the 4th power is 16. All right, now as you move through these, you want to have a goal of being able to evaluate this without having to rewrite it in exponential form. But for starters, I think it really helps to do that to get a visual of what's going on. All right, this next one over here. Log base 25 of 5. Ooh, that's tough too. I think I'm going to rewrite this one again in exponential form just so we can start to get a rhythm for this thing here. So let's throw another x right here. I'll have 25 to the x equals 5. So 25 to the x equals 5. Well, isn't the square root of 25 5? Yes. And how do you write a square root as a rational exponent? Well, that would be 1/2. If I had 25 to the 1/2, that's the same thing as saying the square root of 25. Those are equivalent statements there. So in other words, my answer here is 1/2 for x. So log base 25 of 5 is 1/2. There we go. All right, let's try this one here without looping and swooping, okay? So I have log base 6 of 1 over 36, meaning 6 to what power gives me 1 over 36. Well, whenever we have reciprocals like this, what I like to think about first is just, what if it was log base 6 of 36, right? So what if it was log base 6 of 36? Something a little bit easier. Let's make that g a little bit more like a g. Isn't 6 squared 36? So yeah, this is 2 right here, right? 6 to the 2nd power equals 2. That's how you evaluate a log. Well, how do I get reciprocals? Negative exponents. So this is going to be -2. Final answer right there. So we have log base 6 of 1 over 36 is -2, whereas log base 6 of 36 is 2. So again, logs are exponents. We're thinking 6 to what power gives me 36? 6 to what power gives me 1 over 36, right? That's how we got to think them if you're going to do it in your head and not loop and swoop, write it all out. But more power to you. If you got to go this route for the start, dude, do it, right? Better to do that than to get the answer wrong. Yeah? Okay. Where is the base? Where is the base in this one here? I have log of 1,000. Hold up. Common logarithm. If there's no base, it is base 10. Okay? So we have log base 10 of 1,000. So now we can think 10 to what power gives me 1,000. And if you got to count with your fingers, that's okay. That's okay. 10 to the 1st is 10. 10 to the 2nd is 100. 10 to the 3rd is 1,000. You can count those zeros there. So I'm going to get 3 for this one right here. 3 is my final answer on that one. All right. Down here. Ooh, boy. Fractions. Oh, my goodness. What is going on? Well, we're actually going to rewrite this a little bit with some log properties first. So I can take an exponent on that argument and I can throw it out front as a coefficient, meaning I will have 2 times log base 1/4 of 64. Okay, and I want to figure out what that is. And you might be like, well, that didn't help. Hold up. 1/4 to what power gives me 64? Remember how we talked about this one here? Think about those negative exponents. So let's not think about the fraction right now. Let's think 4 to what power gives me 64. And, hey, if you got to do a little side math, 4 to what power gives me 64, that's totally fine. 4 to the 3rd power gives me 64. So 1/4 to the -3rd power gives me 64. Ooh, that is tough. All right, so this is going to be 2 times -3, which equals -6. Let's run that one back one more time because I feel like that was like a little bit tricky there, okay? So we were looking to see log base 1/4 of 64. What is that? Meaning 1/4 to what power gives me 64? So instead we thought about it as, well, how about 4 to what power gives me 64? And we landed on this right here being 3. 4 to the 3rd power is 64. So if If I have 1/4 to the third power, that would be 1 over 64. But if I did 1/4 to the negative third power, that flips it again, gives me 64. That's a tricky one. Person was a real jerk that wrote that problem. That was me. All right. Last one here. I'll do it. We'll go orange for this one. All right. We have log base 3 of 81 to the 5th. So you might also be thinking like, well, couldn't I do 81 to the 5th power? I don't know what that is without a calculator. So again, I'm going to use those log properties. Throw the 5 out front. We've got 5 times log. It's a terrible 5. Sorry. 5 times log base 3 of 81. So 3 to what power gives me 81? 3 to the first is 3. To the second is 9. To the third is 27. To the fourth is 81. So I have 5 times 4 equals 20. Boom. That's it, docs. There we go. We just evaluated 6 different logarithmic expressions, I guess kind of equations, because I put the equal sign there for you. But really, we were just evaluating logs. So a lot of times you'll see like 1 or 2 of these on a non-calc log test where they just say, hey, evaluate this. Or they might like add a few of them together, okay? I actually have a video where I'm adding a bunch of these together and there's other properties and it gets kind of complicated. So this is a good starter video. But if you're looking for one, you're like, hey, I need something a little more challenging, I will recommend that one here at the end of this video so you guys can check that one out and watch that one and make sure that you're prepared for kind of that crazy problem that might pop up on your logs exam. All right. Thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions, pop them in the comments. Otherwise, like, subscribe, do all sorts of dope stuff, and have a wonderful day. See you later.